So, welcome to the 1990 series. My name's Amanda O'Shea, the loving life coach from the Serendipity Experience. And it is with great pleasure that I introduce a very special lady of our local community. This is Mrs. Candida Wright, M.B.E, who lives locally in the town of Ondara, here on the Costa Blanca. And Candy, welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Bit
You're,
surprised to be doing this in my dressing gown, but that's all right.
it's so funny, isn't it? We couldn't, like, you were so busy. It's like,
Yeah.
busy time of year and here. And I love that. I said to you, this is going on, on video. You're like, yeah, it's okay. It's going on YouTube.
Fine.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. I've been a lot worse on stage in panto, and now I'm not worried about being in a dressing gown.
I love that. And this is a comfortable conversation between
Yeah.
just between friends having a chat. But I think that I would like to applaud you, and I would like to give you a huge congratulations here for, this M.B.E was something that you received this year. And I remember seeing the photos of you at Buckingham Palace, right? That's like,
Mm-hmm.
so can you just tell us before we talk, we've got a lovely title, Unity, that we're going to talk to a little bit. But can you just tell us a bit about the M.B.E and how that all happened?
I was advised last November by the British ambassador in Madrid that I had won the award, and I had to keep it secret until the 28th of December. I couldn't tell anybody because the press have to receive it first. They have to receive the New Year's list first before anyone.
Right.
So I had to literally keep it to myself. And then it came out. So then I went, they send you lots of letters, and they ask you when you'd like to go to, you can receive it here, you could receive it from the embassy, etc., or you could go to Buckingham Palace. And we said, well, it's a once in a lifetime.
Absolutely.
So my husband and son and daughter came with me. And so we went to Buckingham Palace, and I met Prince Charles, who was absolutely lovely, just a great person. I was, yes, I was quite emotional.
I bet you were, and I bet you were. I saw the photos were gorgeous, and like you said, that is a huge honour, isn't it? So who decided? Like, what did you get your M.B.E for? Like, what was all that about?
Well, I don't know who put me forward for my M.B.E. I don't know. They won't tell you that. You can ask people who you think may have put you forward, and if they decide to tell you, but I didn't know who to ask. It was one person I asked, one girlfriend I asked, who had been talking about it, and we were joking. I was saying, well, go away, don't be silly. And I said, did she do it? And she said, well, no, because when she started to look into it, it was very, like, lots of letters involved, people she had, and she didn't know me well enough to know who all those people were she could reach out to. You have to have supporters, I suppose you would call them, for that M.B.E. I have actually met, well, spoken to two people I know were two of the people who wrote letters, who were approached, but they haven't told me who approached them.
Right.
And I haven't pushed it, basically. I mean, it's just lovely, whoever did. And my friends who wrote the letters, people I work with, actually, one of them is a social worker that I work with. She wrote one of the letters. And yeah, and I actually, one of the girls next to me waiting to be given her award was a policewoman, a young policewoman who was in full uniform that day. And we were talking about how, what we did in the community, etc. And she actually dealt with the phone calls from people, or people who called the police who obviously had mental issues. So her job was, she would then take on board that situation, because it obviously wasn't a real situation, if you like. It was their situation. And she received an M.B.E for her work with these people. But what she did say while we were in the queue, she said, everything here is how I dreamt and imagined it would be. And she said, and none of it has disappointed me. And I said to her, that is exactly how I felt.
Oh,
Everything inside inside Buckingham Palace, how it was.
yeah.
The furniture, the whole pomp and ceremony was exactly true to my mind, to my dreams, and it
Mm.
was for her as well. And everybody is so lovely there.
Wow.
Everyone's so polite, so friendly, so lovely.
That's amazing. So you were
Yeah.
given the award was for like for community work abroad, or what was it
My
actually?
work was for working with what I do, yes, for British people abroad. For
Because you
my
this is the work at Help. Is this the
it's various things. It's the work I do in the charity with Help. It's the work I do with my theatre group, because of course my theatre group is also does everything for charity. And for having been involved for years before, which as well, with Women in Business, when we did the domestic violence
mm,
work, which I've continued to do.
right?
So I do voluntary work with domestic violence victims who need interpreting. It's hard, but I do it. I don't do anything outside of those meetings. I don't do like personal meeting with them. I just do it when they call me in to prepare them for courts and things like that.
So
And
that's
that I do.
wow. So you really are. I mean, I know you've always been so busy, Candy, and I know that you've got lots going on.
Mm.
But you originally you're from where? You from London or you're from?
Well, I was born in Richmond,
Okay.
Richmond,
My
on
mum
Richmond
and
Hill.
dad live in Twickenham. Yeah,
And then we moved to Twickenham by the rugby ground when I was a little girl, my brother and my parents. And then we came to Spain when I was 13.
right. And then
And
so you went to school here, or you did some.
um, about 6 weeks.
You've done all right for the girl. For the girl that didn't do too much schooling,
Yeah.
you've done good. And then you married a Spanish man, and so you've got.
Yes, I married my first husband, who's Spanish, and had my beautiful daughter. And sadly, that didn't really work out too well. So when Kelly was only a baby, I decided to stick her under my arm and the suitcase under the other, and boldly go out into the world. And then I met my husband, who's now been my husband. Well, we've been together since Kelly was 3. She's now 36. So, and we've been married 25 years and together 33 years. And then we had our son, who is now 26, Andres. And yeah,
Amazing.
so
And you've got a lovely family set up. And I mean, I first met you then, probably Women in Business, when I first came
yeah,
to
I think
Spain
so.
years ago. I remember it's funny you
Mm.
forget things that you've done and been in.
Mm.
And then, of course, Rachel, we've got one of your family
My
members.
sister-in-law.
Yeah, your
Yeah,
sister-in-law who I know. So I've always seen you at parties and at gatherings. But
yeah.
we were both DJs on the radio.
You were. You were.
That was
Yes.
back a few years ago, and I just posted something on Facebook today, an old post that came up from a few years ago. But
Yeah.
you've just always been around. You've been part of the community. The theatre stuff that you do. Careline, is that what do you
Yes. Caroline Theatre.
Careline?
Yeah.
So you've got lots always going on with that, and then this incredible translation service that you provide at the hospital for
Mm.
English speakers. Is an incredible service, and I think everybody is so grateful for what you guys provide there. But it's not just in one hospital, is it? I mean, that you know
No, I mean they have the desk in Marina Salud in the Denia Hospital, but I mean it's not just really at the hospital. It's not just the interpreting at that hospital that we
mm,
do. I mean that desk is front line, and we are asked by every nationality anything under the sun, because they see us, when they come through the main door there, it's
mm,
who they see, because the main desk is side on. So, of course, our little desk is facing everyone, and there's a big eye above it with information. So, over the years, we've learned all about the hospital and give out a lot of information. I mean, a lot of people come and say to you, obviously Spanish people, whatever nationality, where do I go? I have to go, you know, for an appointment. Where do I go with my SIP card? What do I do? People come in with their complaints, people come in with their thank yous, all sorts. So we deal with lots of languages there with nationalities, with their situations. But yes, the interpreting is, of course, especially set up for the interpreting for English-speaking people. And then we also are in La Pedrera Hospital, the old hospital, where we have the team who deal with, because it's chronically sick, they're long-term sick, we have like a buddies system there. So if you have an English person or an English-speaking person that's alone, they will advise us from the hospital, and we'll send someone in, if it's a man or a lady, to go and be buddies with them, because they've probably got no family, or they might be from another part of Spain. They might come from Murcia or Torrevieja, and to get that treatment in that hospital. So we then friend them, if you like, but we, you know, like a buddy system. And they might, I don't know, they might need a newspaper, they might need some sweeties, they might need, you know, whatever. So that's done, and it's normally one person, one-to-one. They sort of keep the same patient all the time. And then, of course, we work in the medical centres, which the volunteer team, some of us are also private working interpreters. So the volunteer team, if we can't cover the bookings with volunteers, we do a private service. We have a set tariff that we charge, and of course the doctors know us because of the amount of times they see us. A lot of the doctors at La Pedrera are also in Marina Salud, and then we go to other hospitals wherever people work, you know, need private cover in private clinics, like San Carlos and places like that we go to. So yes, wherever, you know.
It's been amazing. I mean, it's been amazing. I know that you've been lifesavers for some people, you know, that especially at that time when people are very vulnerable and, you know, they're not feeling good, or there's a big emergency or something, and suddenly.
My latest experience involved a dog.
Oh, really?
And I had, there was a man who was in intensive care, who was on his own at home with his dog when he suffered a medical crisis, and he managed to call for an ambulance. He collapsed in his property, and the ambulance people got into him. They managed to then enclose the animal inside safely, and the man had, before he collapsed, managed to put water and food down for the dog, and he was taken, and he was in intensive care. So then we received a call at our help desk from a lady very distressed in England, who's his other half. Sadly, she'd had to go there for a family loss, so she was already in a state, if you like, to then find out. I'm not actually sure how. I presume the hospital managed to reach her. And so she was very distressed as to, she didn't know where he was, what had happened. She knew there was her dog somewhere, but obviously her biggest concern was him, her other half. And so I went off and to sort of like hunt him down, and found him in intensive care. And then talking together, decided she wasn't due back for another week. And of course the dog was locked in the property. And so I said, okay, you know, if you want and trust me and will approve me having your keys, I will go and find your house and check the dog. I'll get your mobile phone for you so you can talk with your other half, etc. And I said, is the dog friendly? So he said, oh yes, he's a rescue dog, and he's very timid, it'll be fine. So if I go to this house, I get to the gate and the dog greets me, and it's like, oh my God, this is pit bull mixed with something else. I thought it was going to be this little dog. So I'm like, oh, hello. And I opened the gate and it started to growl at me. So woo. Anyway, the outcome of this was I had to, because I couldn't get into the house because he wouldn't let me. Well, he just growled, and I thought, I'm not going to distress him more, and I'm not going to get bitten, basically. So I then went back the next, it's now evening, I went and bought dog food, and I decided to buy the little troughs of dog food that you buy in a little like bowl thing. So I thought I can take the lid off and at least put it through the gate to him. So I went back, but he wouldn't come up to the gate, and I was worried he wouldn't find the food. So I decided, now we're in pitch black, okay, this is now dark, to scoop it out with my hand and start to throw it, so it went through the rails and dropped to where the dog was. And I could hear this food go flop, and then I could hear this nom, 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 nom. Because I couldn't see him. And then I'd got this handful of this food and I threw it, and I misfired, and it landed on the canopy over the porch. So I now decided I was going to have to go in and retrieve this big blob of dog food off the canopy. So I thought, I can't. He's his wife's going to come home and find this. And what's that? Meanwhile, I had managed to talk with his wife in England and got her on WhatsApp and said, I think you need to come home sooner. So she's now home. She managed to come home yesterday. She flew in yesterday morning. But I had managed to, by then, in the dark, step down these steps, feeling my way, and throwing the food to the dog. So I knew the dog was busy down below. Wouldn't someone run up and jump on me? So I could retrieve this scoop of dog food and then lobbed it down to him. So I just said, I can't believe I'm doing this. I really can't.
It's like being on stage all again. It's like
yeah. It's like any minute now the lights are going to come on and they go, look at her.
Yeah. But you've always got a story, aren't you? I mean, that's just and how wonderful that there are people there. It's just great. The whole service and everything is absolutely fantastic.
Well, when I went and saw him to tell him why I hadn't brought his phone and explain what had happened, he said, oh, he would have been fine, he wouldn't have hurt you. I was like, yeah, right. I'm not going in. No.
And that is truly the word.
So my skin is too precious.
yeah, and you are precious, right? You're precious. We're all precious, aren't we?
They're all precious. Very precious.
Can you tell me, Candy, why you chose unity? Why did you choose that? When I said, what should we have a little chat?
Because I feel that if only people, so many people have all their ideas about the world, but I just feel if people could just unite more and do more for the human being as a unit, and not one doing always fighting against the currents, and just go all together. There's so much more, in my mind, there's strength in unity. There's strength in being a team and being, I'm not saying people have to lose their identities. I hate that. I hate anyone to lose their own personal identities and their personal thoughts. But I just feel if people pulled more together as a unit, probably like I've always grown up with the stories of the Second World War, when say the UK, when Great Britain had to do that amazing pull together that you hear and read in the history books, and your grandparents and parents tell you, what happened, and that wonderful unity of pulling together is what I love, and I think is a big, it's a gap that causes, we could do so much better, basically.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
And so we just have to do what we can, right? So you're doing your little thing the way you're doing it, and everybody else is doing their little bit. But that word unity is in community. That's,
Yes.
That's what we're serving.
It is actually, yeah.
And we serve our community. Even when we were on the radio, it was the community, right? It was your local radio station serving the community. And there is something about, I think, when we're in a good place, when we hang out when we've got, that our state of mind is at that place where it's more coming from the love vibe, then naturally we're in service. That's a natural kind of place. It's not hard work. When we're in service naturally, it's not a doing. It's just something that flows through us, And I think so many people are not in that place because they're really stuck in their own heads. They're stuck in their own thinking. They're stuck in their own selves, and they're doing the best that they probably can, just
depends why people do. It depends also, of course, when people are doing things, is is, and or if they're doing things, let's say in community, is why they're doing it, and what's the ultimate, the end of, are they really doing it for the community? Are they doing it really for their ultimate, like for me, I never ever thought about receiving an award. And so when I first got told, I was like, well, what for? What's that about? Well, because blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, even today it's still absolutely, blows me away, thinking, well, me, and it should, it belongs to everyone. It all belongs, it's with the hard work of so many people that I work with, that you get that sort of thing, I suppose. But it's definitely with unity, with people working together. And yeah, I mean, I've got friends who are in my team and have become friends being in the team, who we laugh, because I'll say, well, I'm going to go up and see these people and do so and so. And one of my friends, she says, you're going to get paid for that? And I say, no, I'm going to go out and see them because, it's part of what I do. Oh, and I said, well, will you go up? No, I'm not going to do that. She said, I do it in my volunteer time, but I'm not going outside the box. But she does her time, and that's good. It just comes naturally to me. It's what I do, and I love doing it, and it's just part of my everyday.
Yeah, and it's just become, and it's not, I get what you say, it's not wrong or right that other people don't have that drive.
No.
Not saying that everybody needs to be, but
No.
suddenly when the drive is there, when the urge is there, and when you go with it, I think it's more exhausting fighting the drive. When the drive wants to do something, the energy wants to do something, we're in flow when we're doing it. We're in flow when we're in service, So I just want to say thank you, Candy, for everything that you have done for our community, that you are doing. And you're a woman, you're always a woman with a great story, and so carry on doing whatever it is that you are doing, Miss M.B.E, Mrs. M.B.E. That's amazing. We're very proud of you, and that's amazing. So thank you, my lovely. Thank you for being part of the 1990 series. Thank you.
And good luck to you. You're succeeding.
Well, it was just a little idea that popped in my head. So we're all doing in our own little way what feels right, spreading messages that feel right. So
super.
Yeah.
All right then.
From unity to community to bedtime. Lots of love. I appreciate your time. Thank you, everybody.
All right, lovely. All right.
Bye. Bye.